All right, my paper's dry. And in my last discussion, I showed you that I had gelatin sized some of this rough texture Winsor & Newton paper. And I iodized a whole bunch of paper for my calotype paper negatives. They'll be sensitized before use. And this was the last where I left off with this paper. Let me see if you can, hopefully you can see that relief on that texture there. The problem was, this is a brand new paper. I didn't know anything about it. This is my existing Platinum Revere. You can see how rich and really just fantastic this is. I'm trying to get this look on this rough textured paper. So based on this, one, I believe the sensitizer soaked into the fibers of the paper in between all those hills and valleys. So I think that was part of that, because these were exposed for the same amount of time and process identical. So based on this result, I took and gelatin sized 5 sheets of paper here. And today what we're going to do is take one of these. This was a 25-second exposure. Let me see. Yep, 25-second exposure. So what I'm going to do with that sized paper is I'm going to do 10, 20, 30, 40. So I'll do a step wedge on the print, and then that something in there should be where I need it to be. I've got a great reference here in this Platinum Revere. And while this is a beautiful print, and I may have to circle back here, it just doesn't have that relief that I'm looking for. You can see it's more of, it does have a little bit, let me see if the camera can even get that. It does have a little hint of texture. So it's not like it's devoid of texture altogether. It's just more of a hot press paper. This is a mold made, cold press, handmade paper with all that beautiful texture in it. Maybe you can. And by the way, this is called Breaking Dawn of Awareness. This is actually my first production print in my memorial project for Abby, my daughter. And this is the wet plate collodion negative right here. I was in the Great Smoky Mountains and just deeply reflecting and thinking about her loss, of course, and what all that meant. And when I saw all this light and those clouds and, you know, this emotion ran over me. And I've written, I call them little mini artist statements for each of these prints here that I'm making a handmade book. And it just really, really touched me. And I'll be sharing that with you once we get a production print. I'll have that in a future video, because today we're just making the test with the step wedge. So if that goes well, hopefully later today I'll be making the production version. If so, then we'll get into the artist statement on that. But in the meantime, if you want the artist statement for the entire project, just go to timlaytonfineart.com/Abby, and you can do that. And like I said, here is the wet plate collodion negative that we made this palladium tone calotype on Platinum Revere. So, all right, I'm gonna get busy and do that. I'm not gonna bore you with all this stuff. I just basically coat the paper with ferric oxalate, silver nitrate. I let it dry in the safe over here for about 30 minutes. Then I come over on the wet side and I actually heat my developer up. I tried different temperatures. I got 2 different lab grade hot plates here. I'm actually trying something different today. I've got, you'll see my developer is already down in there. Of course, it has to be dedicated to this one thing, but I can dial this into any temperature and it gets it right up to temperature. So I'm gonna try that today. I'll let you know how that goes, and maybe either later or another episode. Then I process in glass, and this is where I do all the clearing and toning and fixing and then hyperclear, and then of course archival wash and the 8x10 washer. So I'll get all that done and then we'll come back. Maybe what I'll do is I'll share when I pour the hot developer over the print, and we'll pick which time looks right. I still have to process the print and let it dry down. But what I'll do is I've got to clean up all this paper out of the way here. This is just a little temporary extra area. I'll just use the hairdryer and I'll dry the print down to get that, kind of simulate the dried down effect. So, all right, I got a lot of work to do. I'm gonna go do it and then I'll be back. I just brushed on the sensitizer and I'm gonna get it in the paper safe here now. And I'll start this timer. And we'll be back and get this thing exposed and developed. All right, the paper's out. I've got the negative laid into position. I'm getting ready to slip the glass and the frame over this, and then we'll go get it in the exposure. All right, I've got it in here. I've got this laid over it. I'm gonna expose for 10, 20, 30, 40. I'll get that done, and then we will go develop and see which time looks best. Hopefully it's gonna look a lot better this time. All right, we've got the exposure, 10, 20, 30, 40. You can see how it's much darker. This is gonna be way too dark, which is perfect, and it should be. So hopefully it's gonna be something between in here, but we'll find out here in a moment. Let me grab the developer and we'll just do this real time together. Well, that's not as dark as I thought it would be. We've got to do a 10-minute development. I think it might just be kind of a nature of the actual paper. You can see here at the 40, I know I've done this enough. This will darken up during the fixture stage and during dry down, but I don't even think 40 is enough on this. So I'm gonna have to process this all out, and then I'll just wait till the very end, but I suspect I'll be making another test print today at a new time to see if I can get this time up. The other thing is getting a little richer up here. The other thing that occurred to me is it may require a double coating on this particular paper. That's a possibility I haven't explored yet too. So, all right, let me process this out and we'll just see what it kind of looks like towards the end, and then I'll make a judgment call what I'm gonna do after that. You know, after thinking about this for a few minutes and I'm looking at this, this is still in the clearing bath here. I'm not going to go through the whole processing because there's no processing. It's going to bring this up where it needs to be. So the gelatin, you know, possibly helped. I don't know that it helped that much. I don't know anything other than exposure time that could potentially deepen this up. So I'm going to go for a Hail Mary. This is just kind of the reality of what happens. You've got the best intentions, but sometimes the materials don't support the vision. That could be what we're dealing with here. I don't know, but my last shot is I just coated another sheet of paper. I'm gonna let that dry for about 20 minutes. I'm gonna coat it again with sensitizer. That way I've got double coating. And then I'm gonna do an exposure wedge. Instead of doing 10, 20, 30, 40, I'm gonna do 30, 60, 90, 120. And if that doesn't get it done, nothing will get it done. And that means the paper is just unusable. So let me see what happens with that. I'll come back after I get through that, and then we'll pour the developer on that. I've got a lot of steps to do. There's no sense in dragging you through that. You know what the general gist of the process is here. All right, this is what I ended up with. This is 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, and have no idea what's gonna happen, but this is the double coating, and everything else in the process is absolutely identical. The only thing that's different is the paper. So we'll see. I'll know as soon as this developer hits this, if this is even gonna remotely work or not. So here we go. Well, looks like the double coating was part of the magic answer. So looks like on first blush, double coating at 60 seconds. So we'll run this out and process. So that's, I didn't expect much, but I am much happier than I thought I would be. So now it's worth investing the time doing a full process on this, and then I'll come out the other side, and then I'll follow up like tomorrow or the next day after this dries down fully, and then we can really evaluate it, and then I'll make a judgment call on what I think the best time is and make that print. All right, here we are after dry down. So definitely got this richness that I wanted. Loving this color and this tone. And look at that relief in that. Man, I just love that. You can see that. That is fantastic. Now, I think based on what I'm seeing here, this is the 150 time. I'm going to print here, but I'm going to bump the contrast in the dichromate just a smidge. I don't want to lose these awesome clouds here, and then this light really draws you in. I don't want to print that down too far, so I might have to make a couple cracks at it, but that's what I'm going to do. And then if we take the Platinum Revere version, you can see how this just feels so much different. Both are nice. There's nothing wrong with either one. It's just that my heart is set on getting this, all this full texture, as you can see, and that really aligns with the narrative of the work. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today. I am going to go double coat now. I have figured that out. Definitely need to gelatin size this Winsor & Newton paper. And then I need to print this down a lot more. I'm going to shoot for this 150 and see if I overshoot it. And then I'll let it dry down and wax it. And then I'll come back in the next movie and I'll show you the full print, and we'll see if I need to adjust any more from there. But I'm hoping it's going to be close. But that's where I'm at for now, and you can check out the full Pictorial Whispers project at timlaytonfineart.com/Abby, and I'll see you soon.